friends, welcome back to my channel. I am here to talk to you today about my reading trope challenge. I made this challenge for myself back in January is when I posted it, and I will put a link up above of how you can get to that video and learn more about the prompts in detail. And you can even get some of the cards that I'm going to show you. These cards are just a template card. I will link them down below for you guys. I have been working hard to find books that fit into these prompts and still trying to enjoy my reading year. But without further ado, this is my mid-year trope challenge check-in. The largest category for me is fantasy because I do read a lot of fantasy, and so far I have completed 8 out of the 12 prompts. It is 1 book per prompt. You can't reuse them for another prompt. That's why I could probably have these finished if it was multiple prompts for the same book. The first prompt that I finished is The Magical School. Stranger Skies fits into this prompt. Stranger Skies, they go to this magical school and they live in like these dorms based on their moon phases. It's a very interesting magic system. This is the second book, and it's supposed to be a trilogy, but there's only 2 books published so far. I did like the first book, Curious Tides, a lot more, but Stranger Skies was not a terrible sequel. The next prompt that I filled is The Chosen One. For this, I picked Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. He is chosen to represent Hogwarts. And there's a prophecy in here. He's a chosen one. If you've read or seen Harry Potter, you know that this easily fits the Chosen One prompt. The next prompt that I fulfilled is The Dark Lord. For this, I read Apprentice to the Villain. I use the Dark Lord term very lightly. She works for the notorious villain in the land that they live in, and she is his apprentice. This is the second book in this trilogy. The third book comes out later this year. I'm really excited for it because it's like a cute little fantastical office romance, and it's really cute. Highly recommend those books if you are interested. The first one is Assistant to the Villain. The next prompt that I fulfilled is the anti-hero main character. For this book, I read Somewhere Beyond the Sea. This is the second book to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and one of the main characters, his name is Lucifer, and he is the Antichrist, and he leans into that role but also knows that he can choose to be good. I really don't think that this sequel needed to be created, but this does fulfill the prompt. The next prompt that I fulfilled is Cozy Fantasy. For this, I read A Drifting Currents Cleaning Clear. This is the 10th book in the Wayward Children series. That sounds crazy to say, but this is about a young girl who ends up going into this water world, and there are like some small problems, but overall it's a very cozy setting. It's really good. There is disability representation in this. I enjoyed this book a lot. The next prompt that I fulfilled is Two Twisted Crowns. This is the second book in the Shepherd King duology. The first one is One Dark Window. One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns both have a romantasy in them, romance fantasy, and so this prompt was very easy to fulfill. The next prompt that I fulfilled is the Talking Animal Companion. For this, I read Iron Flame. They talk to the dragons. They have this telepathic connection with the dragons. And the last fantasy prompt that I have fulfilled so far is Hidden Truth, Identity, or Inheritance. And for this, I read Powerful. In this book, one of the main characters has to hide that she is not actually born with powers, because if she admits that, then she could be exiled or killed. And so the remaining prompts that I have for the fantasy category are Forbidden Magic, a tavern, a library. The last prompt I have is a wizard or magician with a prominent role. The next category is the thriller mystery category, and so I have read 5 prompts out of 8, and the first prompt that I fulfilled is the unreliable narrator. I read Survive the Night by Riley Sager for this. Our main character, I don't want to give too much away, but she has something unique about her that makes her a little unreliable. The next prompt I fulfilled was the mixed media prompt. For this, I read We Used to Live Here. This was a very recent read of mine. There is the story of what's actually going on, and then there's like clippings from news articles and different interviews and podcasts. I listened to the audiobook, but they do a very good job of differentiating the actual story versus the mixed media portion. Next prompt that I fulfilled is a true crime podcast. For this, I read Listen for the Lie by Amy Tentera. This has a podcast. Basically, this woman returns to her hometown where she was accused of killing her best friend, and there is a man there that is creating a podcast and trying to get to the bottom of what really happened. The next prompt that I fulfilled is a dark academia. For this, I read The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is set at a college campus, and there are some girls that are being murdered, and our main character is taking it upon herself to investigate what is happening to them. The next prompt that I fulfilled is the twist ending. I read Pen Pal by J.T. Gessinger. First of all, it's primarily a romance, but there's also the thriller aspect to it, and I did not see the ending coming. And that means that the remaining prompts for the thriller mystery section are detective sidekick duo, a locked room mystery, and blackmail. The next category is romance. I don't read a lot of romance, but I have finished 4 out of the 8 prompts. The first prompt is a love triangle. For this, I read The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I'm kind of using love triangle very loosely here, but there is a main male protagonist and the main female protagonist. They do have a romance, and then they break up, and then there's another prominent character that ends up getting with the male protagonist. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything, but it has a love triangle in it. The next prompt that I finished was the fake dating trope. For this, I ended up reading Spy Family Volume 13. They have a fake marriage so that the spy can remain undercover and the assassin can, not spark any worry with her brother. The next prompt that I read was Forced Proximity, and for this, I read Reckless. This is the second book in the Powerful trilogy. Without getting too much away, their forced proximity is because a couple people are shackled together. The last book that I read in this category is The One Bed Trope, and for that book I read Powerful. Powerful is the companion novel to Powerless and Reckless, and basically they just share one bed inadvertently to begin with, and then things happen. But anyway, yes, there's the one bed trope in this one. So that means that I have second chance romance, friends to lovers, dating to gain something, and enemies to lovers left to read out of my romance prompts. And the last category that I have is the advanced section. These are a little less common prompts to come by, but I have read 4 out of 8 of these. So the first advanced prompt that I fulfilled was elemental magic. For this, I read Lightlark. There are people in there that can move water and make ice, and then there's people that can use fire and heat. Very elemental. Almost reminding me of Avatar: The Last Airbender a little bit in some portions of the book, not all of it though. The next prompt was the middle-aged main character. For this, I read role-playing. This is a cute romance, and the main characters are in their late 40s and early 50s. Not very common with romances, but I thought it was really cute. The next advanced prompt was the time loop, and for this, I read The Book of Doors. This book was the first book that I read this year, and it was my first 5-star, and I really, really love this book still. It still lives rent-free in my mind, and it is definitely something that I would like to revisit in the future. The last book that I read to fulfill these prompts was a morally gray main character, and for that I read Murder Your Employer. It reminded me of The Kingsman. Something happens and this guy is basically recruited into a school where he learns how to murder people, and he also has to survive the school and not be murdered, and it was just a very interesting read and a good time. For the advanced prompts that I still need to read are Damsel in Distress, Teleportation Mishap, Genetic Engineering or Mutation, and the late bloomer hero. So that does it for my trope challenge check-in. I also wanted to show you guys my reading journal because mine, I don't have the cards. Like I just use my reading journal to keep track of this. So I have put in my little book covers for my reading challenge. I love looking at it. I will be doing a mid-year flip through of my reading journal soon. If you kind of notice, you can see the wands, but this is Harry Potter themed for this year. And I think I did a really good job sticking with the theme for all of my more prominent pages that I use regularly, not like my monthly spreads, but like all of my challenges and stuff. And I want to be able to share that with you guys. So I will be doing that flip through soon. And if you don't want to miss it, please subscribe. And I will see you guys soon in a new video. Happy reading! Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Is that what I usually say? Hi friends, welcome back. And down below in the description, pull yourself together.